Hey, welcome to the Speakers Magazine show and podcast. We are here today to talk about a brand new book that just came out. And we're going to be talking with Dexter, the dynamic Dexter B. Jenkins. And the book is called The Real Estate Wealth Creator Blueprint. And the reason why this is, I'm excited about this. We've had Dexter on the show before, but this book has been a book in the making. And when I tell you, it has all the things in it. He has the great foreword by LaShawn Holland. He's got endorsement by Rashawn McDonald and Kadena Tate. I'm leaving some people out, but it has, before it even was birthed, people were talking about this book. So it's not like he is new to this. He is true to this, a couple of decades in the making. And I'll bring on Dexter so he can so I won't steal all of his thunder. There you go, sir. I'm like talking. It's like, is he really there? Is she stalling? No, he's here. He's here.
I'm here, y'all. I'm here.
Yes. And he's also a Speak Sell Shine graduate as well,
Yes.
Branding Accelerator. He's been riding with me, Ready, Set, Go, Speak. But this book right here, trending on Amazon, #1, that sort of thing. It's been a labor of love for a while. So can I give them a little bit of some of the things that how it led up to this? Because some people just see that you just pop out. You don't just pop out like that. It's no. So his first product, I guess you would say, was his opt-in gift.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the SHIP method.
Right.
The SHIP method. And you can get that at dexterbjenkins.com. It's a free ebook, and it really talks about the ways of entrepreneurship. Then we did the tips booklet.
Tips booklet was next.
And that was a 52 ways on how to build wealth, or 52 ways of wealth building, or something like that. But that was a tips booklet, little small book. I thought I had it up here, Dexter, but I think people tried to steal my stuff. So I think somebody borrowed it and said that they were going to do one like that.
They ain't bring it back.
Right. And then we did the podcast, Wealthy Conversations.
Right.
That was a thing. And that was the first thing that you really want to do. That is like, so now you're doing a TV show in the studio. But then you did the course. And then the course was really a bundle that you put together for people to really understand how to do real estate. But all the time, a faith-based financial mentor, coaching people on how to do the things that they should do, especially if they want to build wealth. And you find that real estate, possessing the land, is the main thing.
Right.
So after we have the course, we did an event. The event. This is the second one coming up.
Third one coming up in April.
Third one coming up. I was just thinking, like, this is the third one coming up.
Don't cheat, girl. This is number 3 coming up.
This is number 3, right.
Yeah.
And so all of it, I'm saying to Dexter, we've got to get the book out. We've got to get the book. And he's always had the book. He has the content. He had an ebook, he had the free opt-in gift. We had the tips booklet. We have the course. He can even transcribe the podcast. And then finally, he took all of the soup, mixing it all up, and the best of the best is in this
Threw it
book.
all in there. Yes,
in the book, and it took about.
It's about a year.
And I want to tell people this, that, you can write a book in 90 days and that kind of thing. But if you really want a good book, and this is a really good book, and that's why he has so many endorsements leading out before the book even came out, and people who put their name on it, they really vouch for him, and they're great in their own right as well. Dr. David Walker, he put his name on it as well. It's a good book. It's a good book. It is exactly what it says. It's the Real Estate Wealth Creators Blueprint. So with that, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about this process that you went through and why you're so excited about this new book.
Well, I think, thank you for having me on. As always, a lot of this, you guys are watching this, Pam and I started working together right around 2020. So it has been this path of thinking about, really getting a sense of even what I wanted to do. Because when I really came to you initially, I wanted to do something totally different. And then you was like, no, think about doing this. I'm like, well. And so it really has been a journey, Pam, of self-discovery, of really what I believe God is calling me to do. Also really believe in what my passion is as a senior pastor, as a person who's in financial services for 20 years, as a person who, has been active in real estate. And my wife and I have and involved in millions of dollars of real estate transactions 2016, 2017. And so putting all that together and really getting a sense of what this book would be. So it really took me about a year, maybe a year and a half, once you start putting things down on paper, once you start working with Joshua, who you turned me on to. And so and then I took a little break in between.
And then also too, you were listening to your customers and your clients as well, what they really wanted.
Yeah, and so it did take a little time to pull all of it together, but we are proud of the fact that the Real Estate Wealth Creators Blueprint is out. Keys to overcoming fear, lack of money, and inexperience to possess the land. And so we're excited about what the message is in the book, because it really combines everything I'm passionate about. It combines real estate, it combines financial literacy, and it also combines faith, and to put those three components together in order to put together a product that I think if people will begin to read it and implement it, they'll get on their path to becoming what I call a real estate wealth creator.
That's what I'm talking about, implement it. So you emphasize the role of faith in real estate and wealth creation. So let's elaborate on how faith intersects really with financial success, because that is really, like you said, your calling.
Yes.
So please elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, well, when you think about, I was on a podcast last weekend, we were talking, he asked me the same question, and I said, well, the Bible talks a bunch about money and land. You start out in Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, it talked about the earth was dark, it was formless, and it was void. And so now that you begin to see God begin to speak, and in the book I talk about God being the original developer, that he took something that was dark and he developed it. And then you look at what God was doing with the first proper Israelites. He was sending them to a land. And so the Bible is full of things talking about real estate and land, but a lot of times because people don't look at it through that lens, they don't see that. And so I talk about that in the book, but then I also talk about the tremendous opportunity we have as people of faith. If a lot of your audience is that, I'm in meetings, Pam, all the time with people where cities and towns are saying, hey, look, we have this land, we have this over here. And so they're looking for people to come and build affordable housing, look for people to build housing for the elderly, and look for people to build housing for the homeless. And so I think if people who really have a heart to do well and do good at the same time, one of the ways they can do that is through real estate.
Yeah. One of the things we just, President Jimmy Carter, right. He is just credited for just doing a lot with Habitat for Humanity.
Exactly.
And he's taught Bible study. They said up until he was like 90,
like 8 or 9. Yeah. Almost to the end. That brother was faithful.
He was faithful. I was like, oh my God. It was like but his main thing was that he wanted to build houses for people. And that was one of the main things of the legacy that he's leaving as well. So I want people to understand. So then I want you to talk a little bit, because the book talks about financial, you talk about your stewardship things, stewardship, ownership, entrepreneurship. Those are the pillars of financial success, but they can go to Dexter B. Jenkins and download that I call it the quick guide on that. But let's talk a little bit about the poverty quadrant. Okay. And how that impacts people's financial and real estate decisions, because you talk about mindset as well. So let's talk about this poverty quadrant.
Yeah, because Pam, what I found is that even in my own life, working with people, like I said, over 2 decades in financial services and as a senior pastor, so I've had a lot of interaction with people, and I found that a lot of times our belief systems and thought patterns hinder us from creating wealth. And so I found that there are really 4 areas, that's why I call it the quadrant, that people get their beliefs from. So it's from their spiritual beliefs, so when they're churches and synagogues and so on and so forth, and then it's in their environment. So it's mama and them. It's mama and them. There's certain things that mama said to us, and we saw that has impacted our belief system. And then there are things in our culture, that we see where you think that, the only people who are supposed to do well are like people who are rappers and entertainers. And then there's certain things that in our finances that wealthy people get totally different financial advice than normal people do. And so when you start looking at that, so that's where the quadrant came in. And I found that in those 4 areas, a lot of times, if we don't examine the images and the message that we receive in those quadrants, we begin to self-sabotage ourselves. So, for instance, we can say that I want to build wealth, but then on the inside, I'm thinking, well, if I do make a lot of money, am I a good person?
That
Some
could be
people,
those
yeah,
religious
yeah,
beliefs of
yeah,
people thinking
all
like
that,
I've
yeah,
got to stay humble.
I got to stay humble and all
Yeah.
that. And so, I mean, this is years ago. It's actually in the book. I told a story about this. Is when I was selling life insurance investments. I set an appointment with a young woman to talk about her future, talk about saving for college for a child, buying a house, and so on and so forth. So we get in, Pam, and we're like maybe 5 or 10 minutes in the conversation. Somehow she found out I was a Christian, whatever it is. And so we hit off that way. And then she says to me, she said, Dexter, I don't care anything about money and worldly riches. I just want to go to heaven. And I'm like, well, I didn't come here to hang out with you to have ice cream and cake. We came here to talk money. you know,
Right.
okay, so why am I here then if you don't care about it? And so needless to say, like I said in the book, we didn't even do business, but it was like people are very conflicted in this area.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. And
one of
that's the old saying that they used to say, sometimes you're so heavenly minded that you're no
the
earthly
earthly
good.
good. And so I'm
So
looking at
I'm
her like,
like, you are living on earth. You ain't living in heaven yet. So what you
yeah,
gonna do in the interim?
I'm like, and why am I here? So I'm away from my wife to meet with you, and you don't want, and so and so people really have to deal with the inner things on the inside,
Yes.
of
Yes,
themselves, because wealth is an inside out thing, more so the
it is.
outside in thing. And
It is.
so, the
Because people, and I got an email today that a lot of the fires are going on in LA. And
yes,
so people who are wealthy and generous, and then there's you're going to be speaking at that one as well, living generously. People, you can be generous when you have something to be generous with,
you got to
and you
have
can
it.
do good, and you can help people with the fire or tornadoes or
Right,
whatever it is that you can do. And I think a lot of church people don't get it, but people who are spiritual, they get it, that
right,
this is what we are empowered to be a blessing. We are
correct,
blessed to be a blessing. So getting that knowledge on how to do that is not wrong. It's
right,
not, it's just something that we need to do. So knowing what, if your parents said, hey, money don't grow on trees or whatever it is, you've got to get, I wouldn't say get some therapy around that, but really just maybe get a coach so that they can show you a different conversation that you
exactly,
need to have.
exactly.
There was one other product I forgot to mention that Dexter has. Dexter B. Jenkins, it's the cards. So a lot of the times, this
Wealthy
is the thing,
conversation card deck,
wealthy
and that talked about that.
conversations.
Yes, the
And
card
you
deck.
talked about cultural things. Cultural
Yes,
things sometimes in our community, African American community, people don't like to talk about money.
yes,
And but in other communities, they talk about money a lot. Jewish communities talk about money a
correct.
lot. Other communities talk
Asian
about money a lot.
communities, yeah, Asian communities talk
Yes, they
about it.
do. But so you created the card deck so that we can talk about money and make it almost like a game, so it's
Correct.
not so foreign.
Right.
And that is, so people can buy, and the name of that card deck is a Wealthy Conversations
Christian's
card.
card
So
deck.
that,
Yeah.
yes,
Exactly.
so that's another product as well. So I want to make sure that people know that. So if someone is new to real estate investing, building a strong team to support their journey, what roles are essential that they have if they really want to build this, possess the land and the
Yeah.
real estate and build wealth?
Yeah. Well, there are a number of, I call it your starting five. It's in the book. So y'all need to go buy the book. Go to Amazon.com.
Yes, yes,
It's on
get the
Kindle
book.
right now.
Yes.
And then a few weeks we'll have hard copy and all that stuff. But anyway, I call my starting five. So you need a realtor, someone to help you find deals. You need a lawyer, because everything in real estate is oh my God, it's legal. It's
Okay.
contracts and documents. Then you
Okay.
talk about a contract, so you need someone to help you with the deals and so on and so forth. And then you need a realtor on the other side to help you to sell it, And so inside the book, I talk about 4 or 5 people who are influential in helping you to build that team. Now, the thing is this: once you begin, you need a banker. I talk about that because you got to
Yes.
finance it somehow. So you need money to do that, whether it's yours or someone else's. And so where you begin to find that is, I talk a lot about local investment groups. They're called RIAs, REIA. If you Google it, they'll pop up. I'm quite sure in Detroit they got a number
Mhm.
of them. In Massachusetts, where I'm at, they got a number of them. And as you begin to put, and I'm a big proponent of those. They may or may not meetups. They may or may not have. Sometimes they're online Facebook groups, and so what you want to do is begin to plug into those groups.
Mhm.
Really begin to get a sense of, what this real estate investing game is all about. And then once you begin to do that, now you begin to make a sense of, okay, what are my goals as a real estate wealth creator? And then you want to look at, okay, do I want to be an active investor or a passive investor? Because there's some people who they don't want to flip a house, they don't want to buy a whole, they ain't got time for that.
Right.
But
Right.
you do have cash. And so
Okay.
you can either actively do things like I do, I fix and flip and buy and hold, or you can put your money into deals with somebody like me or other individuals who are doing it. And so it just really depends on what you
Ah,
really want to do.
that is good. It's like an investment club. So an investment club, they would put in their money together, and then someone else would go get the
Exactly.
deal and all
Exactly.
that. But all they had to do was just put their money in. So
Right.
that is solid, because I've had Mark has done that. My husband
Right.
has done that, where he's been with an investment group where they put their money together and they bought houses. And
Exactly.
then they bought the houses, they fixed them up, and then they rented them out to people who were burned out. People, the insurance
Okay.
company would pay for
Right.
them to live in the house for a particular time. So that
Right.
was something that they did. You said something that was interesting too about, so how many properties do you have right now? Because a lot of people, they're like, maybe my goal is just maybe to do one, and then I just want to duplex, and I just want to,
Yeah.
so kind of tell us that step.
Yeah, I think it's all your goal. Right now, my wife and I, we don't have a huge portfolio. We have, I think, 10 doors to this point.
That's a
So
lot.
yeah, it's more than one,
Yeah, yeah.
and we all start with one, and
Mhm.
so my message, this, Pam, my message has always been there's tremendous power in getting started.
Yes, yes. Just
You
have to
know,
get started. Get
yeah,
started with one.
you start with
Mhm,
one, and then
mhm.
you eventually begin to, if you decide you want to get two, three, and four, five, it just depends on what you want to do. But I think a lot of
Ownership is key.
because real estate has tremendous ownership benefits to it. I can't really get into this in the book, but I just think people really have to decide. Always, I'll say when I talk to people, Pam, you have to decide what you want real estate to create for you.
Mhm,
So for some
mhm.
people, it's a large portfolio. For some, it's, hey, look, I just want some extra money to retire off of, or it's something that I want to retire mama with, or something
Yes.
I want to retire my wife with, or something, I want to send my kids to college with. And so it just depends on what you want to do. But I just think real estate, matter of fact, and I know real estate has tremendous abilities to really do whatever you want to do. Now, this is what I say, Pam, and then, you know
And they
this.
can have write-offs too, a lot of
Oh,
write-offs.
oh, oh, please. Real estate has tremendous tax
Mhm.
write-offs, and
Yeah.
in particular, things like depreciation and all. That's like it's all in that. Read the book, y'all are sitting there. But
And I've learned all this from listening to Dexter, right? So these are these are the
it has
things, it's like, oh, okay.
tremendous it has tremendous tax benefits for everyone on. Just regular people, then also paying for high income earners.
Yes.
The people who don't want Uncle Sam in their pocket. One of the things that they do is they offset their income with real estate investing, and so
Yes. Yes.
our good friend Tommy Jones says this: real estate is the answer for everything.
Okay, okay, that is. And I have some friends that basically, on one hand, they are really high income,
Exactly.
and their accountant, I think it was accountant, says you need to buy some investment property.
There it
And
is.
and they're and then the process now of doing an apartment building. The
Exactly.
other thing, this is the thing about real estate, I want people to understand. So Dexter has 10, and you lease them out or you rent them out.
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of people, especially women, and I'll give you a scenario. I have a cousin who has a home. Mother moved in, and so the home. She says, "I'm going to sell the house," but she's
Right.
about to retire.
Okay.
And I said, "Why don't you keep the house? And that can be, in addition to getting your Social Security and your pension, you
Right.
have this house that you rent out." And she says, "I don't want to be bothered with that." I
Correct.
said, "But I don't think you have to be bothered with it if you get a property manager." So explain that, because I
Right.
think in our community, she had never heard of that. She thought that was weird. Like, what do you mean a property manager? It's just one piece of, it's just one house. Well, actually, she has two because her brother left her one too. So she has
Okay,
two.
two
So,
houses.
so two houses, but she's like,
Yeah,
it's so much work because if you got a cost,
yeah,
I'm the,
exactly, exactly.
so explain the role of, if you got this house, you want to buy it, you get fixed up and you rent it, and then explain the role of what a property manager would do or how a
Well,
person could find it.
well, a property manager is just another person who's part of your team. So you have people who they play the middle, and so you're not dealing with somebody calling you in the middle of the night.
That part.
Something if a toilet breaks or hey, I'm locked out of my house. How do I get back
Yes.
in? Well, what you do is you have a person between you and them
Yes.
who manages the asset. Now,
Hmm.
you pay them a certain percentage of the profits that come in, but I mean you just roll that into the rent. So
Yes.
you do this. You just do that as a way of it's it's a business expense
Right. Right.
because
Right.
really what you have to do, Pam, is this: you have to see investing in real estate as a business,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
if this is a business for you, you understand that property management is just part of one of my expenses. It's the cost of doing business.
Right, right.
You
But
know,
if that person is paying $1,000 a month, you can pay the property manager, I don't know, if
usually property managers could be anywhere from 5 to 10% of that. So for instance,
yeah,
so in that case, just say it's 10%. So it's $100 a month. They make sure. Now you have to do now you do have to stay on top of them. So there is a
right.
management component to managing them.
Yeah, but they don't have to run out in the middle of the night
But
to,
you're not,
yeah, yeah.
and this is what and Pam, this is what I say too as well. Now we don't have a property manager. I'm in the process of getting some there right now. Do you know how many calls I've gotten since we've been doing this? 2016, 2017, maybe 3 or 4 calls,
And you've got two
and
pieces of property.
and
Oh,
I've had we've had all these doors, and so it's like the
a
boogeyman in
mindset.
people's mind.
Yes, it is. It's
I don't want to
and
be
part,
bothered. I'm like, listen, do you know how many calls I've gotten? And
yes.
then all the time I've been doing it, but now check this out. Do you know how many rent checks I've gotten over that period of time?
That part.
So you got it. So you weigh it, and I'm not saying that for everybody, that they should keep, because there are times when you should sell, but I think a lot of times people don't think strategically and say, you know
Mhm.
what, can I get a property manager in place here? Now, obviously, you have
Yeah,
to vet them and all that, and obviously, if
right.
they need help doing that, we can show them how to do all that. But I just think a lot of times we throw our hands up. And I don't want to be bothered. And then what happens is somebody else comes in and scoops up, and then they take off, and then they build a
Right.
wealth where we could have.
Yes. And it's just really about having these conversations, the wealthy conversations that people don't have because they're so used to culturally, maybe like you said, in that quadrant,
Right.
they're stuck in like maybe two of why they shouldn't own two homes.
Correct.
They have their own condo and then they have another home and another home, but it's like, well, I should sell it because I don't need
I
all
don't
that.
want
Well,
to. It's always I don't want to be bothered. And I'm like, listen to what you're saying. And many of the people that we're dealing with, they're believers, and
mhm.
so now they'll quote from the Bible, Proverbs 13:22, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children.
Children's children.
Well, how do you think that you leave an inheritance for your children's children? One of the ways you do it is through real estate. So if you
Mhm.
sell it now, obviously, if you sell it, if you take the money and invest it, you can do that as well. So, like I
Right,
said,
right.
it's not a one size fits all situation, but I do think more people can hold on to their property and do certain things with it, and then be able to build wealth that way.
Yes. So let's share a personal success story or learning experience from your real estate journey
Oh
that
God,
really highlights the principles in the book because I know that your dad
yeah,
recently passed. He was a big influence on your life
yes,
and
huge,
he owned his barbershop,
yes, he did, yeah,
which in your dad way back then, like that
yeah.
was with the 50s.
Dad, my father cut hair in New Haven, Connecticut for probably close to 60 years.
Wow.
Dad,
Entrepreneur.
dad died, as you know, Pam. My dad died not last August, 2 years ago. So it'll be
Mhm,
2 years ago in August
mhm,
17th, he passed.
mhm.
But he was one who always believed owning two things: where you lived and where you worked.
Ah, okay.
So obviously that's why we had a house that we lived in, and then the barbershop that he ran his uh, building, I mean, that building that he ran a barbershop, he owned.
Right. And then
So,
people lease from him, lease
and
chairs
so,
from
and
him.
so people lease from him, and he would say this to me, Pam, all the time. He said, Dexter, if something happened where my business is running and then someone sold the building, I would have to move, and I wanted to control that.
Yes. He was
And
smart.
so that's why he bought the building that he ran his barbershop out of, because for a lot of those years he didn't own one, but then in 1991 he bought that building, moved in until the time he died, 2021, I get, with 2022 at this point.
Yes.
23, he's 22, whatever it is. That operated his barbershop. So Sam's Barbershop, if you went there today, actually I was in New Haven a couple of days ago, you will see Sam's Barbershop. The awning is still up because that's where he operated his barbershop out of a building that he owned. Now watch this, man. He had the barbershop on the first floor, but he had 2 other units off of it that he got rent from. And then he had 4 garages off of that.
What?
So so what I told Dad, he and I had a conversation with him. I said, Dad, because one of his tenants was an uncle of mine. I said, well, Dad, how long his name's Uncle Julian. I said, Dad, how long has Uncle Julian lived in the unit above you? He said, yeah, Dexter, he's been there for about 20 years. I said, okay. And so I did the math, Pam, and it came out to be like $190,000.
He could have bought somebody
that my uncle had paid my dad over that 20-year period. It was like 190. It was basically around. It was like 200,000 over like that 20-year period. And I was like, wow. And then I said, Dad, how much do you make per haircut? And so when I did the math, I said, over that 20-year period, Dad, you would have had to have cut like 18,000 heads in order to make the same amount of money that you made in rent payments.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Now check this out, Pam. Now,
real estate is liberating.
Now, hopefully y'all getting this class, because this is a class we in right now. I said this. Real estate gives you tremendous leverage, and the guy that you and I both somewhat follow, his name is Myron Golden. He says this. He says you can make up with leverage what you don't have an ability.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Meaning this. You and I are not 7 feet tall like Shaquille O'Neal, or can throw a football like Tom Brady. But what we can do is create leverage. And if we create leverage for ourselves, now one way to do it is through real estate, another way is through entrepreneurship, a lot of books and all that's leverage. But we're looking for ways to create leverage. And so what my dad had, he didn't even realize. I said, Dad, you know how many haircuts you would have had to do in that same period of time that Uncle Julian paid you rent. And so people don't realize the tremendous leverage that they can create by becoming owners of real estate,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my message in that book. I'm trying to wake people up because, to your point, I believe we're in serious times here. That event in California, we actually, a young woman who was part of our praise and worship team, her house burned down in California.
Oh my God.
So my wife said to me, she said, Dexter, how much are we going to, because they got a GoFundMe page. She's like, how much are we going to, put into it? So we're discussing that. And so it's this thing of, I just think that we're just in a really critical stage where people, I'm trying to wake, in their book, I'm really trying to wake people up and say, listen, you need to get serious about creating wealth.
Mm-hmm. And then you have an event coming up as well that is in April.
Yes, April 4th and 5th
in
Canton, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston. Last year we did, so this is our third one, as I said. And so, we got people coming from all over the country. And the conference is really, or called the Real Estate Wealth Creation Summit. The summit really centers around one thing. How can we use real estate as a wealth creation tool? That's the whole gist of the conference. And so, we had about 100 investors last year come through. And so we had a great time. So Tommy Jones came through, LaShawn Holland came through.
Yeah.
Those are friends of mine, people as well. And actually, I met through you, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just.
And I think LaRick said he was going to come this year.
Rashawn said he was coming, and so a lot of people will be coming to Boston. And so we'll have a live version, but we'll also have a virtual component to it as well. So you can't make it to Boston, obviously you can get a virtual ticket, but it really is about really my passion and my gifting is two things, is in communicating and congregating.
Yes. And I do feel people who show up go up. You have to be in the room. You have to have the conversations. Someone can say something, a small piece of advice that can change your life. And And one of those things is you've done that to me. I mean, you've really opened my eyes about it. Me and my husband, we're looking at it, and even too, just the antenna is up about it. We're in the
Right.
Detroit area, and you always say, "Hey, Detroit area is a great area," and it's like,
I keep telling you all the time, like, girlfriend, every list that I see Michigan, I see Detroit, I'm like, you and
yeah,
other people that I know, I'm like, y'all
yes.
are sleeping.
Yes, yes, that is. It's one of the tools that is so um, in our community. If we could do more of that, it would really
Right,
be good. You hear people say, "Oh, I'm gonna buy the block." I'm gonna
right,
buy the block, and that is one of the things where you can really just turn things around. There was a
correct,
young lady, I believe she was in North Carolina, and she said that she wanted to. The neighborhood was going
right,
down, but if she bought one house at a time, she can renovate it and then bring it back.
correct.
And it's like called buying the block. So those are the things that I really like that people are going to learn from your book and take action on the book, The Real Estate Wealth Creator Blueprint. They can go to Amazon, get it on Kindle right now, The Real Estate Wealth Creator Blueprint. They can also go to Dexter B. Jenkins and
Mhm.
download the ebook. And then also too, Dexter sends out great emails. They are very teaching oriented. And then also too, he has the course. You could get the course if you want to do that, but make sure that you stay on this list so you'll find out more details about the conference, the
Yeah,
summit that's coming
yeah.
up in
It's
April. It'll be in
it's
Boston.
gonna be two life-changing days. I'm telling people, I said last night, because as you guys, well, Pam, I do a TV show once a month called Let's Talk Real Estate.
Hmm.
Second
Hmm.
Tuesday of every month, usually. And so I said, take Friday off, call him well. call
No
it
calling sick, calling
call him
well,
well.
calling well.
I ain't coming
Hmm.
to work today because I'm going to learn how to become wealthy.
That's it. That is it. Because you've got to learn it, and I think the more you have conversations about it, the more normalized it becomes,
Correct.
and it's easy for you to do.
Yeah.
That's why I like your podcast as well, your show, Let's Talk Real Estate. And then also too, I just have seen, I put in your name now, and I remember when we first started, it was like zero,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now you've got like about pages and pages and
Yes.
pages of podcasts, and your message is consistent. You, like you said, it's your calling. You want to wake people up about it. They can book you to speak, to come to their churches, to come to their events.
Yes. Yep.
Dexter B. Jenkins, you could go there and actually bring him in to do workshops. And if you want to have like one-on-one conversations, he can coach you. He can definitely have. I think you're doing your membership soon. You're gonna be
Yeah.
launching that
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
So that's part of it as well, because sometimes people like to be. They can get the book, but then they also need the support ongoing. So that's where you're going to do the
Yes.
membership program as well. So
Exactly.
that will be
Yeah.
good. So
It's
all
it's it's
things.
it's it's about implementation. I have a saying, Pam, that information without implementation brings frustration.
Ooh, I know that's right. That's good. That
So
is
and
good.
so and so there needs to be implementation. And so
Mhm, mhm.
I think a lot of times if we can hold people's hand to help them to implement some things,
Yes.
they'll go a lot further.
And it's a brand new type of industry for a lot of people. There's a
One
lot of
hundred
people are
percent,
maybe
one hundred percent, one
first
hundred
time
percent.
homeowners, or maybe they've never even owned a home, their own home. So a lot of it is new. We're in the generation now where there is more access to capital and people can be more creative with it. Like you said, investment
Right.
clubs are really, really good where they can do it together and they buy homes enough ideas, and there's no reason not to start. That's the main thing. They've got to
Got to
get
get
started.
started. Got to get
So
started.
that's the key. That's it. All right. Well, Dexter, thank you so much. Dexter B.
Oh, thank
Jenkins. I
you.
call him the dynamic Dexter B. Jenkins. Seeing you on stages and in places soon. So thank you so much for joining us today. And God bless you. And thank you all for joining and making sure that you like, subscribe, and share this episode. All right. With Pam Perry, I'm out. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.